In today's video, I'm going to be going over one of the best items you need to use right now. It can give you so much damage, and it's super cheap. It's actually crazy. If you guys enjoyed today's video, subscribe, and like. And without further ado, let's keep this short. Let's get into it. Another update's been out for like 1 or 2 weeks now, and it is really big, and people are finding a lot of new metas. And there's a lot of items in this game. However, most weapons are underwhelming in the sense that they're not actually good. But they are very useful for utility. A weapon I'm going to be going over can give you a lot of strength and has a lot of uses for a lot of different things. So this is mainly going to be focusing on actual damage itself. So if you're a mage, it isn't particularly useful, but for whatever reason, if you need to hit mobs, it is useful. This is going to be a weapon called the Ragnarok Axe. Now I'll explain in a second, don't click off. Basically speaking, Ragnarok Axe is an axe that can be dropped or crafted from blade soul and crafted using hollowed skulls. I have like so much in my inventory. I have 115. It requires, I believe, 15 or 20 hollowed skulls, and you can craft the axe. The axe is incredibly cheap. If you search up rag on AH, the lowest bin is 120k. Or you could just kill the boss like 2 times or like 20 times and beat it. So it's a really easy weapon to get, and it's super good. Its ability says Ragnarok. Begin to channel after not taking damage for 3 seconds. Gain this weapon's strength. Gain 2 times this weapon's strength for 3 seconds. And it makes sense, right? It's a 20-second cooldown, 500 mana. However, it doesn't do what it says it does. Like a surprising amount of things in this update. It's kind of shocking how much things in this update don't do what they say they do. Actually. So when I use this, first let's just look at my strength base. Strength, I have 580, okay? I'm going to use this. And I've used it. And currently I'm at 1000 strength. But now we're going to wait like 3 seconds, or past 3 seconds, and I still have that strength. I still have the strength. I still have that strength. It lasts for, I believe, 10 seconds instead of 3, which makes this actually super useful, because this gave me 500 strength for 10 seconds. And this is actually very good. So let's compare damage before and after using this. I'm just going to be using my Emerald Blade. Before and after, Terror with the Blaze Pet and Itchy Reforge. So before, it looks like I'm doing 326,000 damage. I then use this Ragnarok Axe. That 326,000 damage turns into 500,000 damage. So it's a lot of damage. You're probably thinking to yourself, okay, but how is this actually useful? When are you going to have time to stop and not take damage for 3 seconds and use 500 mana to deal more damage? And there's actually a surprising amount of times that this becomes insanely useful, especially when paired with other items such as Sword of Bad Health and Wand of Strength, which I made videos on earlier. But if I use all of this, the original 326,000 damage turns into a lot more. So keep in mind, it was originally 326,000, and now the damage we're looking at is 550,000 damage. So point is, it is a super good weapon. But what can you use it for? You can use this for a bunch of bosses and mini bosses in and out of dungeons, in and out of the Crimson Isles. So let's give some examples. One really good example is Mage Outlaw. So let me just really quickly just go and whack Mage Outlaw for a little bit. I'm doing a lot of damage by itself, but let me get it into its actual phase. So when it goes into this phase, you can use your Ragnarok Axe, and it's timed basically perfectly. You use it, and then he drops back down, and you can get the hits in and get that extra damage. And even though it has a 20-second cooldown for the most part, by the time he goes back up into that phase, you'll have it back on cooldown. I think I should have mine close to the end. I don't quite have it here, but you can use this a few times each boss when you're doing Mage Outlaw. And generally speaking, it is a really good idea for Mage Outlaw, but you can use it for a lot of things other than Mage Outlaw as well. Mage Outlaw is not the only one thing. You can use it for a lot of other examples. Other examples include Barbaduke when he jumps up and does his long range of jumping attacks, and it's kind of really difficult to hit him. You can just use this ability and gain extra damage against him. You can also use it for the Magma Boss when he goes into his phase where he summons in the mobs and then collects himself together. You can use it 2 times per wave using this ability because you have plenty of time. You could also use it during Ashfang when he calls in his mobs, or there's just no mobs left for you to hit. You can use it during there. You can use it during Svens when they're calling in the pups. You can use it during Tier 5 Revenants when they're calling, like when they're in their, like the the nuke phase or whatever. You can use it for pretty much every single dungeons boss, because there's always time, there's a cutscene where they'll like be jabbering on like, oh my god, how did you do this? No way! This is my second form, suck it, bitch! And then while they're on their giant long dialogue, you just use your ability. So you can use this for a lot of things. Mostly bosses, because they'll have dialogue, or they'll have, because it's a unique fight, they'll have something that they do where you can't hit them and they won't hit you. And you can use this for all these boss fights to gain a ridiculous amount of strength. Now for this weapon, I would recommend putting Withered on it. You don't have to do any of the other fancy stuff, but I would definitely recommend putting Withered on it, because the strength gain from Withered to base is quite a lot. Because when I use my like actual one that is Withered and everything, keep in mind I was at 580, I basically gain 500 strength, which is really ridiculous. However, that changes when you use a base one. So example, if I swap out to my Ragnarok Axe, my base one, I'm at 580. I use my base Ragnarok Axe in 3 seconds. So 3, 2, 1. Use my Ragnarok Axe. Keep in mind, this is a base Ragnarok Axe. I gain 800 instead of 1,100. So it is really important to optimize as much strength as you possibly can on this actual item. So I recommend putting Withered on it. You don't have to do any of the other stuff, but putting Withered on it is a really good start for you to do, because it just gives you so much extra strength. However, if you don't want to spend the money on that, you can just use base. They're both still really good, but I highly recommend you guys use these weapons. They're super useful for pretty much every boss. Also, if you're wondering why I'm in Terror, Terror is really cracked now. They finally fixed it. Either way, without further ado, see you guys next one. Peace out.